DC, where obviously you spent more than 2 decades of your career?
Yeah, there's a few extra layers to this one from an emotional standpoint, selfishly, but it doesn't change how we collectively, as a group and organization, go after this one. I'm really looking forward to, again, personally getting back to DC and seeing a bunch of people. The city means a lot to me, and the organization means a lot to me. But all my focus and priority is this organization and this city, and trying to continue to build a kind of a sustainable playoff team here, and continue to build on some of the good foundation that I think we've started.
Cool. All right, well, about the questions. Jorge, you want to start?
Hey, Coach. Obviously, you said a very emotional game, but this is a team you don't very see often. The Dynamo face. Just could you give us the other side as an Eastern Conference guys facing a Western Conference team?
Well, we just did that with Atlanta, and obviously it happens, and you get 6 or 7, and you're maybe not as familiar with them, but if you do your work, you do your homework, they can be familiar real quick, and what they do isn't necessarily overly complex, but they do it very well. Last game I think they had 19 shots, and unlucky not to get something out of the game against Atlanta. High expected goals. Obviously, they have a superstar that can change the game in any moment, in and around the box. Maybe an MVP candidate so far, who can score goals. So that's never a lot of fun to go against, in particular when there's the solutions are limited sometimes, when the service is right and you're at the mercy of him redirecting balls with his head. So that part is difficult. We got some ways to try to minimize that, and we've worked on that in the short amount of time we've had to prepare. But Benteke continues to be a real handful. They can play, but certainly are vertical and second balls, and some of the combative nature that they play with causes them a lot of opportunities to be in good moments in transition or from knockdowns and width. Herrera coming from the back. Cupietro's been, I think, a breath of fresh air for them. Pedro, again, Santos has good delivery from deep. So Stroud's had a kind of a career year, and is linked up well with Benteke from service, and he's also kind of a little unpredictable on where he shows up. So difficult matchup. Saw the field looked pretty choppy as well. I think they've had a lot of different games on it, so that doesn't always help with some of the connections that we'll like to play with, but we'll try to fight through that and give them our best shot.
Some very good matchups when you go player to player. But I want to ask over Latif Blessing and Franco Escobar how they're doing after being subbed off.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, everybody's good on a healthy status.
You mean from a health standpoint, both of those two?
Yes, sir.
Well, they weren't subbed for health reasons, and they were Mika had a knock and he came out of the game for a knock, so that was really the only injury sub. Franco hit his back, but again, mostly knocks, bumps, and bruises.
Thank you, Coach. Best of luck there.
Thank you.
Armand, go ahead.
Hey, man, you touched on the personal side of how special the matchup is, and you gave us a fantastic scouting report on DC United. My only question today is, there was a lot of focus on the negative on Wednesday night. I want to focus on the positive. And after studying the game film, how just talk about how effective the pressing was in the first half. You know, there was a lot of pressing from the Dynamo that was effective, and you took advantage of there's a gap in the midfield that led to a lot of opportunity created in the first half.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Herman. I think we got a lot of the negative out of the way. I think some of the negativity comes with not necessarily frustrating in how we play and how we go about the game. That we continue to watch the film like you is like, wow, we're pretty damn good. But what we have frustration with is we are not getting the points that are kind of correlating with the performances, right? And as we score goals, now over the last month, again, I've said it over and over, the goals becoming a little bigger. We've really worked on the offensive part, and we're seeing some goals now, right? But with goals doesn't mean you can now be complacent on defense and give that cushion in your brain that, oh, we're okay, we're 1-0 up now, so I don't have to do the extra 2 yards. That I don't have to make the play here that's going to help the next guy out. So I don't have to get back into a defensive spot because we're up 1-0 or 2-0. So these are the things you have to fight as an athlete. And that is the frustration that came out of that game. And mostly it crept. It wasn't just one thing. This is usually this has been a little bit of a trend. And so it's good to get that out and have some tough conversations and try to decide who we want to be and where we want to go. And that's all this is. But as far as the effort level, way we press, how we want to go about the game, I think the guys are pretty clear. And I think there was a lot of good performances against Seattle. Just again, moments cost us. Set piece, we got to do a better job as a staff, making sure we're better on defensive set piece. But I think we've talked a lot about that, and we'll just keep chugging along. But we got to. I appreciate your positivity, though. I could use a little bit of that, buddy.
No doubt. No, it just means that the team holds itself to a high standard, and that's what you want to see. And how big is it to have players like Latif Blessing? We spoke to him after you Wednesday night, and his focus is we need to be disciplined for 90 minutes. And he mentioned the word a championship team. If we want to be a championship team, we got to stay focused for 90 minutes and not making mistakes. How hopeful is that for you as opposed to have players who've been there and share that message in the locker room?
Well, that's why we bring people like Latif in here that have raised trophies, and they've come from winning cultures, and they understand what it takes and what that culture looks like, and what the kind of DNA of championship group. So it's great, and we talk about it. But Herman, I'm a little over talking about it. I want to see some results, and so that's the next kind of step. And we've identified it over the last couple of weeks and the month. But now we got to put that into action. It's very, very easy to speak. But I'll say this: Latif's been great. He's been a breath of fresh air around here. He's exactly what we thought he was, and we think he fits very clearly into what we're doing here and the position. We think he's positionally in a good spot for him to have success. And with Coco leaving a lot, he can fill in there. And he's also a Swiss Army knife for us. And I didn't know he could score this many goals, but he does make a lot of actions in and around the box, and he smells where the ball's going to be. So we're thrilled for him. Now he's got to keep going. He's got to keep pushing, and we got so much work to do still here. And I think you mentioned it. It's like the expectations here now have changed, and that's a positive thing. That puts more pressure on everybody, including myself, to keep moving. So a tie and playing really well against Seattle at home is not good enough. And that's what we're kind of pushing for here, and it's happened in a short amount of time, and I think we're all proud of that. But now that comes with responsibility.
And then lastly, not a question, just a comment. Our listeners, our viewers, Serge making the match out there tomorrow to show you and the team support. They
Well-
wanted me to let you know that.
Well, that gives me chills, so I appreciate that. Again, Serge and everybody behind that goal, battalion, everybody has been, very, very welcoming to me so far, and we need them home, we need them away, and it's a real commitment to get on a plane or drive somewhere to support us. We don't always say it, but it's a big boost for our guys to have some orange in the stands.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, guys.